A recap of our top story. The ANC has called a meeting of its caucus in Parliament for tomorrow morning, which is likely to chart the way forward in removing President Jacob Zuma from office. The party delivered a letter of recall to the president this morning. The ANC's Secretary General, Ace Magashule, and Deputy Secretary General, JC Duarte, delivered the letter and spent about an hour and a half at the president's official residence in Pretoria before leaving. The ANC will brief the media on the matter in an hour's time, less than an hour, at 2 p.m. The briefing follows the marathon meeting held by the party's NEC in Irene outside Pretoria, which ended in the early hours of this morning. The NEC decided to call for a motion of no confidence in President Zuma if he persists in refusing to accept his recall. The unemployment rate decreased marginally from 27.7% to 26.7% between October and December last year. Statistics South Africa data shows that formal sector jobs declined by 135,000, while employment in the informal sector saw an increase of 119,000 jobs. The finance sector, which includes banks and insurance companies, saw the biggest number of job losses in the fourth quarter. The sector lost 91,000 jobs, followed by retail, which saw the number of those employed drop by 45,000 people. But government and domestic work employed 75,000 more people in the fourth quarter. Manufacturing and agriculture also came into the party, creating 42,000 and 39,000 more jobs respectively. Risenga Maluleke, the Statistician General, joins me now from our Pretoria studio. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. We saw 2.0% growth in the third quarter. Traditionally, the fourth quarter sees a bump in employment because of the festive season, especially in retail. We're not seeing that in these numbers.
Let's come again, please.
We saw 2.0% growth in the third quarter, and what we normally expect out of jobs in the fourth quarter is a bump in employment because of the festive season, especially in retail, and we don't seem to be seeing this in these numbers that just came out.
Yeah, what happens is generally we do have that in the fourth quarter. But we certainly didn't observe that this quarter, particularly of the job losses that we have seen, the decline in finance. If you look at finance, we had a decline of about 91,000 jobs, and followed by trade. In trade, we had a decline of about 45,000 jobs, and again in the private household we had a decline of about 43,000 jobs. So we didn't observe that.
What factors contributed to the unemployment rate of 26.7%? It's down slightly from the last quarter, but still very high.
We have seen an increase in community and social services of about 75,000 jobs. We further observed an increase in manufacturing of about 42,000 jobs, and of course agriculture has had an increase of about 39,000 jobs. So we can safely say, certainly, while the unemployment sits at 26.7%, that one percentage point drop from the third quarter of 2017 was influenced largely by such increases.
When Statistics South Africa comes out with numbers, one of the issues that's often raised is that there could be an under-reporting, whether it comes to census or when we're looking at these unemployment figures, especially in the youth sector. What's your response to that, and are you trying to counter that with anything?
Well, certainly what happens is when we look at unemployment, we go to the households and speak to the people. And look at unemployment for young people, for example. It's sitting at about 51.1%. And I'm talking young people aged 15 to 24 years. Now, it would be very difficult for someone to say we are underreporting when we are actually bringing out such a number. Obviously, you have young people that are not currently looking for employment. The Labor Relations Act says anybody aged 15 to 64 years can look for employment. Now, whenever they are not actively looking for employment for reasons that they are at school, as we have observed that 41% of people who were not looking for employment said that they were students, we do record it as it is.
Okay, let's move away from that and go to the wider context of Statistics South Africa. What is the information that comes out? Tell us about growth and unemployment, especially in the context of a business confidence that's improving in South Africa, as well as the strengthening of the currency.
Two things that we do at Stats SA. One of the things is when we produce numbers, we expect citizenry and those that are responsible for policy formulation, including those that are responsible for managing the state as in government, to equally engage on such numbers and take those numbers into further debates. That's number one. Number two is we expect other users, the business community, as well as investors to use the numbers. But our responsibility is limited to an extent that we cannot go and prescribe to them what they should do with the numbers. Because the moment we do so, and especially where we express opinions on what should happen next, or even start making projections, would make it very difficult for us to maintain our independence. We would lose our independence. We would not be able to provide the numbers should they show otherwise. So we have to continue to stake our independence by providing the numbers to everyone equally at the same time. Now, obviously, it does play into the minds of different sectors in the society. If the numbers look good, everyone celebrates. If the numbers do not look good, people get concerned. But for us in Stats SA, we don't have taste buds. We always have to release the numbers as they are.
Risenga Maluleke, the Statistician General of South Africa, thanks so much for your time on SABC News.